KayFabe Smark Podcast. Welcome to the KayFabe Smark Podcast with Eric Todd and Brian Rampa, your smart mark source for news and opinions on the world of professional wrestling.
Hey, what is going on? This is April 30th. We are coming into you live here on YouTube with episode 49 of the KayFabe Smark Podcast. I am Brian. Hanging with me always is Eric. Let's take it over to Mr. Eric Todd and see what he's got going on in his world.
You know, same old. I went out, got me one of them fancy COVID shots there, Brian. Got me the Moderna.
The Moderna. I got the first shot of the Pfizer about a week ago.
Yeah, I got that funky cold Moderna. I go back Memorial Day weekend to get my other one, and then I'm ready to roll, man. Bring on the COVIDs.
Bring on the COVIDs. Going out and licking payphones. Make sure you guys head on over to all of our social media platforms. Head on over to Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. That is the KayFabe Smark on all of those platforms. Once again, that is Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Head on over. Check out the KayFabe Smark on all social media platforms. Eric, what's happening in the world of wrestling this week?
Oh, we got some decent news going on. A couple big things with old school legends here. And as soon as you hit that ticker, we're about to get started on it.
It's officially the news. You are tuned in to the KayFabe Smark and the news.
News. All right, first things first, Steve Mongo McMichael. Sad news concerning him. He was recently as of January, told he is suffering with ALS, aka Lou Gehrig's disease. He found out in January, just released the news to us himself this week. So that's a bummer.
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to see anybody get sick. He wasn't the greatest of professional wrestlers by any means, but nonetheless, I don't want to see anybody get sick and live that, kind of deteriorating lifestyle.
Right. He was part of the Four Horsemen in WCW, also did commentary in WCW, won a Super Bowl with the 85 Bears. But he released a statement, and I've got part of it here. It says, and I quote, "I want everybody to realize while they're no longer going to see me around, I thought I was ready for anything. But man, this will sneak up on you like a cheap-shotting Green Bay Packer."
Ooh.
Still firing shots amongst the NFC Central there. And
the NFC Central, very specific.
Yeah, but if you want to support old Mongo here, you can go to his website, teammongo76.com, and I'm sure they have some sort of GoFundMe or something up there, or at least you can give Mongo a little shout out and send some prayers his way.
Yeah, send out one to the former Four Horsemen.
Yep, just a blip on the Four Horsemen radar, but still.
One of the last Four Horsemen, I think.
Was he one of the last ones?
Probably. I mean, after the WCW deteriorated in 2001, they never did anything with the Four Horsemen name, and by the end of WCW, I don't even think the Four Horsemen were a thing, so he's got to be one of the last stables of the Four Horsemen. So he's got that on his legacy.
Yeah, that's more than Randy Orton can say. He was just part of that legacy shit or whatever. The Four Horsemen ripoff. But remember when Snoop Dogg made his little debut in AEW a couple months back?
I do.
Well, it looks like he got some heat from WWE when he actually did that. Snoop agreed to appear on the January 6th episode of AEW Dynamite, and WWE kind of gave him some shit about that. So this is Snoop's quote on that situation. "They felt some type of way. Let me tell you this. Snoop Dogg ain't no wrestler." Oh, we figured that one out there. Real quick.
Snoop-a-loop.
Snoop Dogg ain't no wrestler. He's bigger than that. You got to understand that. This is the dynamics of what happened. I had a show on TBS called Go Big Show. So Cody Rhodes was one of the judges on the show, and he's one of the top dogs at AEW. So as a promotional vehicle for the gig, I went on AEW.
He didn't.
And WWE.
Go ahead.
And he went on to reveal the word he got from WWE themselves. Hey, you funning with them? You got to push pause on that ass for a minute, said Snoop. So I stayed cool. They pushed pause for about 2 weeks, and then they go, hey, man, we got this video game, and we need you. So the assumption is the video game is WWE 2K22, so Snoop will be involved in that in some way.
Which is funny that they're going to make a stink, WWE being they, pronouns, that WWE is going to make a stink about Snoop doing something with AEW when they just allowed Chris Jericho to come on to Stone Cold's podcast or his YouTube show, or not YouTube show, but his Peacock WWE Network show, and do an interview and talk about AEW and use the name Tony Khan and say AEW. But Snoop Dogg does a terrible frog splash on a Wednesday night, and they're mad at him.
Yeah, obviously something between January and April switched where Vince decided he didn't care anymore. Because, yeah, as of January, Snoop Dogg, who's not even a wrestler, you're going to give him shit for going to AEW for a one-off to promote his TV show. But, yeah, I don't know what's going on with that. I guess it's just WWE's like, fuck it, we don't care anymore.
Fuck it, we don't care anymore. I think that's more where it's at. Whatever. What is this a thing about?
Yeah. In our weekly Peacock news, Brian.
Yes. We didn't have any Peacock news last week.
I know. I was actually bummed about that because now it's semi-weekly Peacock news. But WWE Network News reports new content that's headed to Peacock. And in May, we will see WWE Untold, Two Dudes with Attitudes, May 2nd. WWE Chronicle, Damian Priest on May 9th. The Best of WWE WrestleMania rematches on May 11th. WWE Icons, Rob Van Dam on the 16th. Also on the 16th, WWE WrestleMania Backlash. WWE Wrestling Challenge on May 17th. The Best of WWE Rob Van Dam on May 18th. And the Best of WWE Andre the Giant on May 23rd. So Peacock's working hard to get more and more content up. And those people who haven't quite got the itch to get their Peacock subscriptions, trying to give them a little more reason to spend a little dough. Put out the $5, the $10, however you want to do it.
Yeah, I think that, the content's going to come. People are very impatient. I don't think they understand how much it takes to port over 1 million hours of content. And especially when they're trying to also censor some of that content to make sure it's appropriate for the day and time that we live in.
Yeah, we've seen recently that, they're definitely going through shit with a fine-tooth comb to make sure that it fits today's standards is the best way to say it, I would suppose.
Before we move on, not really in the news topic, but kind of, what do you feel about them using the WrestleMania name in the Backlash pay-per-view? I just had to call it a pay-per-view. I don't know what to call it. The Backlash event. So it's WrestleMania Backlash. I find it weird. It's a new thing that they've added this year.
Yeah, I don't know what they're really experimenting with. If maybe they're thinking WrestleMania is bigger than WWE. So whatever things you can attach the WrestleMania name to, maybe it'll bring more people in. That's the only thing I can think of.
Kind of trying to hack the algorithm of searching, if you will. People putting in the name WrestleMania, and then they're going, oh, look at this new one. So I wonder if next year we'll see WrestleMania, Fastlane to WrestleMania, because Fastlane's always before WrestleMania, right? That's where they get it. You're on the fast lane, and then you're heading into WrestleMania. So you might see Fastlane to WrestleMania or WrestleMania's Fastlane. You might see them try to work that in for the, quote, WrestleMania season.
Yeah, I'm with you on that one. I think it's gonna become a whole season, if you will. It'll almost be like a WrestleMania season where 3 or 4 months are just dedicated to WrestleMania before and after.
Yeah, as fans, we always refer to it as WrestleMania season, right? When you get Royal Rumble, and it was kind of like the start of the WrestleMania season. When you start thinking about Mania, it's still several months out, but you're still starting to think about it. You know, you figure that's in January and WrestleMania is in March, so you're only 3 months out from there at Royal Rumble. So that's the start of it. That's the start of that WrestleMania season, and now they're going to probably kind of capitalize on that is my call.
Right. WWE themselves always refers to it as the road to WrestleMania. We're on our way to the road to WrestleMania.
So I think you're going to see that name incorporated in more things, WrestleMania, especially when you also reported in the news a couple weeks back. You can go ahead and check that out in the archives on YouTube and on anchor.fm/KayFabe Smark. You stated that they're going to try and start to drop the numbers. So you might see more of that branding of WrestleMania minus numbers. You know, they might be able to use that more.
Yeah, we shall see. Only time will tell. They've got a huge team of people over there at WWE pulling all types of strings, crunching all types of numbers that we don't know nothing about. And they're just they got to make that money.
Simple as that.
They're just trying to find a way to crack that algorithm, as you say.
100.
And news not too many people care about, Impact Wrestling. Old Big Cass made his debut at Impact on the April 25th Rebellion pay-per-view. Cass's new ring name, Brian, W. Morrissey.
Whoa.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I had no clue. I know as for a while he was going as, what was it?
Kaz XL.
Kaz XL. So that made sense, but because it was still the play on that. But what was it again?
Well, his real name is William Morrissey. So now he goes by W. Morrissey.
Well,
but why not just go as Kaz XL?
Well, he did go through a whole weird drug situation, right? So maybe this is him becoming clean and not being that person anymore. Maybe there's something a little deeper to it for him. Maybe there's something for it that Impact or wherever he ends up can't own that.
Yeah, Kaz XL, maybe he's a crackhead. But W. Morrissey is
straight and narrow.
And, ready to get the job done. But he took Eric Young's spot in Violent by Design's match versus Chris Sabin, Eddie Edwards, James Storm, and Willie Mack. So Morrissey actually got the pin on that one. So Kaz actually got a pretty decent debut on Impact there on a pay-per-view, and he picked up the pin.
Yeah, I think something else happened on that pay-per-view too, didn't it?
I don't know.
Oh,
oh, you're talking about Kenny Omega? Be honest with you, man. I don't pay attention to that shit.
I mean, you know, Kenny Omega became the Impact champion. He's the belt collector, man.
Oh, yeah. So that happened too. Kenny Omega, your new Impact champion, as well as the AEW champion, as well as the AAA Mexico champion. So the belt collectors out there collecting belts. We'll see see if he can go up to Stampede and grab a belt or something while he's at it.
He goes, I don't know.
I hate Impact, Brian.
Well, I mean, I'm not, I didn't get the pay-per-view by any means, but it passed my eyes on the old Instagram and such. That's funny.
Yeah. So. But speaking of the Elite, Matt Jackson recently did an interview and revealed what WWE offered him and his brother Nick in 2018. So Triple H offered the Young Bucks $500,000 each guaranteed. This is according to Matt Jackson. And Kenny Omega was offered $500,000 guaranteed, but they had to come as a package deal. This is
makes sense.
The early part of 2018. They were on the cusp of signing. How could you pass that up? Seeing as how most talent, even bigger names, just signing with WWE back then were looking at $150,000, $200,000 if they were lucky. But just as they were about to sign, Tony Khan swooped in, and this is the quote from Matt Jackson. Tony came to us at the right time, and he just made the better offer. And I'm not talking financially. I'm talking inside quote. Hey, you guys could run this thing, and that's not something we got elsewhere. He said, and I want you guys to hire your people. So that just confirms everyone's suspicions. Young Bucks just get to run a promotion and hire all their misfit friends and get to do whatever the hell they want. It's kind of tempting to take that offer, definitely.
Why wouldn't it? I mean, you still get to do things your way and make a lot of money. Now, was the years released in that WWE offer?
They did not say how long the contracts were for, just $500,000 a year.
$500,000, yeah. So it could have been $500,000 over the course of 5 years. There's only 100 G's a year.
Could have been that too, but it was kind of implied that it was per year.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, yeah, I don't know. It's just that gamble, right? You can take that gamble on yourself. This could pay off gangbusters or be nothing. You go to WWE, you're probably going to have a pretty good legacy, not to run that term into the ground, but you're probably going to be able to hang around for a while, right? See, the WWE is not going anywhere, but you take this bet on yourself in AEW or this bet on AEW, might not make it. Then what?
Yeah, it's kind of a catch-22. The money, I don't think Tony Khan's paying them collectively $1 million a year as the Young Bucks, guaranteed anyway. But with WWE, the money's there, but are you just going to get lost in the sauce as another tag team?
Yeah.
But are they going to pay a little more attention to you because they spent so much money on you? So you don't really know.
Right. Do they get to own the rights to their product in AEW? So do they still own the Young Bucks name? And are they getting like major royalties off of all their money or all of their T-shirts, basically everything?
Yeah,
so there's all these little things. There's little things that can go back and forth that can make it worth it. Why not? And the worst comes to worst too. Let's be honest. Vince has hired back worse people that screwed him over that were in his company, right? I mean, he hired back Hogan 3 times now.
Yeah, even to the point where Hogan's at WrestleMania getting booed by 25,000 people every time he opens his cocksucker, and Vince still keeps him around.
So why wouldn't you? So the Young Bucks always will have a chance to go back, especially if they tear the roof off here. But we shall see. Any other news for us?
Yep. Yeah, Vice TV posted their full list of episodes that they have coming up for Dark Side of the Ring. This is the list that we have. On the season premiere of Dark Side of the Ring on May 6th, we will get Brian Pillman. That's going to be a 2-hour episode.
That's a banger.
Pumped to see that for sure. And I don't know if these are in order. This is just a list. It doesn't release dates really. But we have The Ultimate Warrior. That's definitely going to be a good one.
Yep.
Dynamite Kid. That's going to be a good one.
Yep.
Here's one for a learning experience for myself. WCW/New Japan Pro Wrestling Collision in Korea 1995.
I think that's the stabbing incident where Sid stabbed Arn Anderson, but don't quote me on that. That's just firing off the top of my head.
Yeah, so we'll see what that's all about. The WWF steroid trial.
Okay.
That should be pretty good.
Speaking of Hogan and getting fired and hired back.
Right. A real player in that whole chess game going on there. We've got Grizzly Smith's family. That's Jake the Snake Roberts, Sam Houston, and Rockin' Robin. The 2002 Plane Ride from Hell.
Heard many of story about this. Maybe we can get some detail about it.
Maybe we can get some solid stories there. It seems like every story I hear about the Plane Ride from Hell, some other wrestler disputes what happened. And no, that's not really how it went. It went like this. And so, yeah, maybe we'll get some solid stories on that. Following that, we have Luna Vachon. Should be pretty good.
Yeah.
I'm sure there's going to be some stuff about her family and their Mad Dog Vachon and whatnot. Nick Gage, he's an Indian, or not an Indian wrestler, an indie wrestler.
Could be an Indian. I'm not positive. I guess we'll have to watch the show to find out.
I think Nick Gage is the one that fucking just like cuts people up and shit. He's a real psychopath.
Oh, real New Jack, if you will.
Yeah, he's pretty much the white New Jack. We've got, who was that? I don't think it was CM Punk, but I don't know. Some unlucky individual that got to wrestle him got cut his cheeks right between his teeth there.
The old Joker smile.
Yeah, he got the old Joker smile from Nick Gage. So that'll be an interesting watch. FMW, Frontier Martial Arts Wrestling.
I don't know nothing about that.
That'd be a learning experience. XPW, Extreme Pro Wrestling.
I remember that. That was where New Jack threw Vic Grimes off that that scaffolding and tried to kill him. I remember we watched that. Or not like live, but we went and found it to watch it.
Now, did that take place before Vic Grimes started shooting zombies down in Georgia with The Walking Dead? Oh, that's Rick Grimes.
Rick Grimes. Crazy bastard.
All right. Bruiser Bedlam, a.k.a. Johnny K9.
That's a new one.
Don't know. And Mortis, a.k.a. Chris Canyon.
Okay.
So,
that'll be interesting.
Yeah.
And then, in other Vice news, they just signed a TV deal with MLW, Major League Wrestling. So they're going to be putting out a TV show with the MLW product, whatever that will be worth. We shall see.
We shall see. I don't know what kind of ratings. I know Dark Side of the Ring has to be at the tippy top of those ratings on Vice, but I don't know how Vice performs wholly as a channel.
Yeah, we'll see. I have a feeling that they're either going to use that as a lead in or a lead out, meaning they're going to get you in with Dark Side of the Ring and then go, hey, look, Major League Wrestling on next. Like you just watched this documentary on wrestling. Continue watching this episode. This
and I'm sure
episode.
Tony Khan will get his sticky little fingers dirty in that one too and start. Maybe Kenny Omega will go collect that MLW belt while he's at it.
And then in MLW news, there's rumor that they are working to have an open door policy with WWE. And WWE states that they are looking to have an open door networking policy with other corporations. They're not opposed against it. And that Triple H or somebody from the organization has been speaking with MLW. I'm going to guess on an NXT level for cross-promotion stuff. But
that could be very interesting.
We'll see.
It's definitely a way to stay fresh, and AEW's definitely blazing the trail. It's definitely something that was done back in the territory days, trading guys, sharing guys, or whatever, but it definitely went away once Vince took over the business. But AEW's kind of lighting that fire again with the territory type dealings of sharing guys, trading guys, and whatnot. And looks like WWE's going to follow suit on that. They got to stay fresh.
You got to stay fresh. And they were doing it with that Evolve Wrestling, too, until they went under. They were sending NXT guys to their house shows and things like that. Just more time in the ring, right? Minutes equal hours and days and months and years. And the better you're going to get, the faster you're going to get. So having a little working relationship with this MLW, they got a lot of guys. They're pretty big on the independent scene, right? You're starting to hit that MLW level. That's when you're about to hit that glass ceiling. You're going NXT or AEW is probably starting to talk to you a little bit.
Yeah, you're going somewhere. You're definitely going to get away from the high school gyms and flea markets at that point.
Exactly. Well, do you have any more news for us?
Oh, I got a couple more stories,
all
Brian.
right, cool.
We'll try
Keep
to
it
power
rolling.
through these here. On the latest edition of Busted Open Radio, AEW President Tony Khan discussed the possibility of AEW having to move nights, having to move off of Wednesdays due to the NHL deal. You and I remember that it was pretty much a safe assumption that NHL had signed with USA Network to show hockey games. USA somehow dropped that ball. Turner won the bidding war, and now hockey games are going to be on TBS or TNT or a combination of both. And it's a possibility that AEW might have to move nights. Although Tony Khan says they've still got a couple years left on their Wednesday night contract. So we'll see what happens with that.
Well, I guess. But is it that big a deal? Are Wednesdays that like important? Like they're just going to move you to Thursdays.
Right. I don't see what the big deal is. When there's only 3 wrestling shows on, basically NXT, WWE, and AEW. If you want to watch AEW, you don't care what day it's on, you're going to watch AEW.
Yeah, so you would go, unless you want to go and then just be that guy, like NXT bowed out basically and said, we'll bounce over to Tuesdays. Like we're done with this back and forth ratings nonsense. Unless you're going to be that guy and go, no, we're going to Tuesdays, just straight up just jock their style and jump on their same day. Otherwise, you should probably take Thursdays and move on. I don't see a big deal with it. I'm not so locked in. It hasn't been that long. To move Monday Night Raw at this point would be weird for me to call it like, well, it's officially moving to Thursdays. It's Thursday Night Raw. Like, that would throw me. You know, it's been 30 years they've been doing this.
Right.
I mean, look how many times they moved SmackDown. It was Thursday Night SmackDown when it aired. Then it was Tuesday SmackDown. Then, hell, it might have been Wednesday for a minute. I don't remember. It was on Sci-Fi for a while. And now it's Fridays, right?
Shit, and they're jump over to UPN. SmackDown's moved to so many networks and so many nights that, and it's still going strong, actually stronger than ever now that it's on Fox. So I don't think AEW moving would be as big deal as people are making it out to be, but Tony Khan seems to be a stickler on those Wednesday nights. In trash bag news, Mickie James.
Trash bag. I didn't know what you were talking about for a half a second.
Actually, that has nothing to do with Mickie James's belongings in a trash bag, but it does have to do with something she tried to pitch when she was back in WWE. Mickie James was trying to pitch a all-female wrestling brand for WWE, and she revealed that an unnamed official told her, and I quote, "They're never going to go for it, ever. Women's wrestling doesn't make money. WWE Evolution was the lowest rated pay-per-view ever in WWE. I get what you're trying to do, but I don't understand why you're fighting so hard for it. You should play the cards you're dealt and see if there's a way to incorporate that within a show rather than fight for it to be its own show." Now, that could be a little controversial there because a lot of people are shitting on that guy for saying that, but is he really that wrong?
No. No, I just think that they should just keep. I don't think it needs to be any separation from any TV show or brand. It just needs to be intertwined in, whether it's NXT being the younger crop of ladies and mixed in with that show and the guys and gals, or if it is on the, the big brands on Raw and SmackDown and just mixed in there. I think that's just where it needs to be and mixed into the pay-per-view appropriately. And if you can get good and have a good crop of girls, then when they do headline something, it makes sense and you don't even think about it. When they headlined the first night of WrestleMania, we weren't terribly disappointed this year.
It was actually one of the best matches of the entire weekend,
right.
Bianca Belair versus Sasha Banks.
So I think that they just need to keep working on the talent they got and not so much, don't separate it. It doesn't need to be separated.
Right. And my opinion on the matter is as such. So WWE has so many wrestlers under their umbrella, signed to their 3 different brands there. And you're kind of hard pressed to find a good number of female wrestlers that can draw and perform as well as most of the guys. You got your Sasha Banks, you got Bianca Belair, Charlotte Flair, Rhea Ripley,
Bayley.
Bayley's
in the list.
So you got 5 top female wrestlers. You can't make an entire brand out of them 5. You can surround them with the other female talent you have, the Shayna Baszlers, the Nia Jaxes, but you don't have enough talent and excitement and charisma to sustain an entire ass show. That takes a lot of talent to keep people's eyes on an entire show and an entire brand, if you will.
Well, look how crappy 205 Live did.
Right. And that's just trying to feature undercard talent,
lightweight
and
talent.
make a whole show out of it.
Undercard lightweight talent. It's not even the big
Right.
guys. It's supposed to be your high flyers, and that wasn't very well, received. So I just think separation is when you start to take away from the whole of what builds a show, right? So that'd be going to a buffet. You go to a buffet dinner, and only thing you get, I mean, steak tips are good, but that's all you get every time you go up there is just you skip the other 46 spots to stop and get food at. No dessert, no salad, no nothing, just that. So you need to build a decent meal off of everything that's available, right? And I think you need to build a good show off of good women wrestling, good small 205 Live high flyers, big heavyweights, guys that can talk, guys that can't talk and can't wrestle, guys that can wrestle and can't talk. You need to mix it all together in one big stew and serve it up every week. I think that's the best case scenario. You're going to get everything that will work together then. You're going to get a little bit of everything. A women's brand in 205 Live, I'm not going to tune into. I didn't tune into 205 Live. I'm probably going to skip the women's. I watched the pay-per-view because it was a little higher ranked than a weekly show, right?
Right.
But
trying to make a 2-hour or even a 1-hour weekly show out of just the female talent,
it's not going to catch.
It's going to be a stretch.
Not going to catch my attention. So in that aspect, highlight your good shit on TV.
Yeah. Couldn't agree more. And in related news, Mick Foley inadvertently revealed that he's been experimenting with mind-altering substances by tweeting this to Vince McMahon, and I quote, "Dear Vince, an all-women's brand needs to happen in WWE, unless you want AEW to beat you to the punch. Sincerely, Mick." So yeah, apparently he's been taking LSD or
I
mushrooms.
thought you were serious
or
at first.
Molly.
You led me in thinking, I'm like, Mick Foley's doing drugs? He just seems like such a clean cat. Like, I maybe see him drinking a beer, and that'd be about it, and that'd be high then for him drinking. I had 2 beers last night.
He's got to be on something if he's saying this needs to happen in all women's brand.
Yeah, I just don't see that needing to happen.
Yeah. And AEW Dynamite, I mean, I'm not exactly Nostradamus for predicting this, but this week's show dropped down to 889,000 viewers, which is down big time from last week's 1.1 million, and the week before that, 1.2 million. So even unopposed, AEW's kind of falling into that niche to where they're going to gain maybe a total of 200,000 people from the aspect of not having to compete with NXT anymore on Wednesday nights.
Yeah, they had that one weird 2 weeks where they had about 1 million, and I'm just thinking they had a Tyson high, which still just blows my mind.
Yeah.
Tyson is still a draw like that, but it is what it is.
And then just my final thing, this isn't really news, but we'll wrap it up with this. This kind of flew under the radar for some people. By some people, I mean myself. I didn't realize this till this week that WWE and A&D have been really teaming up and putting out a ton of content over there on A&E. We have 2 new shows, A&E Biography, WWE Legends. I have checked out the Roddy Piper one so far. That was an amazing show. And I watched part of the Stone Cold Steve Austin one, and that one I've got about an hour into it. That's also an awesome show. And then A&E's other show is WWE's Most Wanted Treasures, which has WWE legends traveling around the country trying to get very sought after items that Triple H wants to turn into kind of like either a museum or a traveling roadshow, something like that. I watched the Mick Foley version where he was after an original Mr. Sacco. his flannel vest from his Cactus Jack days, and also his original brown shirt from when he was Mankind. So that is definitely an entertaining show to watch. Has that reality show fake feel to it, but if you suspend disbelief, you kind of can roll with the punches on these.
So you're saying if you can watch wrestling, you can sit back and enjoy the show.
Exactly.
Did they ever release
And,
how some of those things got got let go, or like how these weirdos have them in their attic? They're like, oh yeah, I just happen to have Mankind's original brown shirt in my attic. Like, how did you get it?
It seems like these things get donated to charity auctions, and then people buy them from charity auctions.
Okay. Just seemed weird.
Yeah.
Like how this guy get a Sacco. That makes sense.
Yeah. But yeah, that's all I got on the news. And unless you got anything to add, Brian, hit the switch.
That was the news. From our desk to your ears. That was the KayFabe Smark news. All right, there we go. And always following the news, a little overrated, underrated. Now,
All right, what do you got for me this week?
I have an example if you don't catch on to where I'm going with this, okay? So, let me explain.
All right.
It's overrated, underrated, but these are gentlemen, so you're not going to rate the guys themselves. You're going to kind of rate what I'm basing this on here. This is a list of 5 guys that have never held a world title. So you're going to take your underrated, overrated based on that aspect. Maybe not them as a whole, but it's overrated or underrated that they never held a world title is kind of the angle we're going with. Do you want me to show you? Do you want me to give you an example, or are you good to roll with it?
I'm going to throw an example at you. Not Undertaker, but
We'll do it.
I'll use Undertaker as an example.
Sure, go for
it. Bruce Pritchard is pretty much known for saying he didn't need the title, so he would be
right. So
underrated, I guess.
Right. So you're gonna give that. You're just gonna go with it, and we'll just have fun with this. It's a little different one, but I found this list, so we're gonna go the first one. Never holding a world title in WWE or WCW, Mr. Scott Hall.
Ooh.
Does that?
So Scott Hall is one. Now, I don't know. This might make the cutting room floor, or it might just be in there. How do we, if he's overrated, what does that mean, Scott Hall? Or if he's underrated, what does that mean as far as not holding this title?
Does it overrate him for not holding it, or does it underrate him for not holding it? Is it put him over, or does it keep him under?
Okay. I think it keeps him under. I think I'm going to say underrated for Scott Hall not holding a major title or a championship title, because I feel if they did take that step and gave him that belt, he could have flew so much higher, in my opinion, as Scott Hall. I think they overrated him by thinking he never needed it. His character was enough to get him over, which in one way he did get over just fine without a WWE championship, but I think he could have reached that next level with it.
There you go. That's what I was looking for. I knew you'd break it down for me. It was a little. I'm taking a curveball here. Overrated, underrated, never holding a world title. Mr. Perfect, Kurt Hennig.
Mr. Perfect is. Whoa, excuse me. I got notifications coming through here.
From Mr. Perfect himself.
Yes, tweets from the grave. But Mr. Perfect I would say he is underrated, or he by no means did Mr. Perfect need the WWE championship. His character, his charisma, his cockiness, that's all he needed, and he was so fine-tuned with everything about his Mr. Perfect persona that he could go as high as he wanted to in the business, and a belt would mean nothing.
Very good. Overrated, underrated, never holding a world title, Owen Hart.
Owen Hart, I would say it's hard to tell with Owen Hart. I'm going to have to leave him right in the middle there because he died before he was ready to carry a title belt.
Before he hit that big apex.
But I think if he was given a couple more years in the business, a title belt would have sent him straight to the moon. He had just as much talent, if not more, than his brother Brett.
Yes, I think, yeah. And then, overrated, underrated, never holding a world title, Ted DiBiase.
Ted DiBiase, I am putting in the Mr. Perfect category, underrated, because his talent alone, his character was going to take him as high as he was going to go. He had feuds with Hogan. He was always at the top, but I feel strapping a belt on him would have did nothing for him. They underrate him because his talent alone was enough to get him by.
Last one, and I know the answer to this one already, but this one's just for fun. Overrated, underrated, never holding a world title, Roddy Piper.
Oh, God. Roddy Piper is the king of the Mr. Perfects. He is underrated. If you put a title on Piper, it would have dragged him down.
What's funny, when you tell people that Roddy Piper didn't hold a title, they go, really? He didn't? I didn't know that. Like, he held the IC title for like 12 minutes one time.
Hell no. Piper was the perfect guy to be just on the cusp and to completely nitpick and be a thorn in the side of anyone who did have that belt. He was the perfect heel, a fantastic babyface at that point when he turned for a while, but as a heel, he was the blueprint. He did not need a belt.
Yeah. I wanted to keep it kind of easy on this one because it was a wacky turn that we were rating these guys. And my wild card that I had out here for an example, I didn't know if he was going to make the list or not, was Rick Rude. So while we're at it, underrated, overrated, never holding a world title, Rick Rude.
I think Rick Rude could have used a belt. I would say he was overrated by keeping him in the mid card status and thinking that was as high as he was going to go is definitely overrating him. That belt would have just brought him to the next level. He would have been a great heel champion and would have just shit on everybody underneath him.
Now, there might be some wrestling historians, and I don't want you guys hating on me. Rick Rude did hold a championship in WCW, but it was when they were running two congruent championships, an NWA and a WCW, and the NWA championship at that time was just because they didn't know what to do with the belt and they already owned it, so they just kept slapping it on guys. It was like their second heavyweight championship. It was like when the brands were on WWE were intertwined and you had your Universal and your heavyweight championship. Like, which one meant more? WCW clearly made it that the WCW championship meant more. So
right.
He never held it for a good title run, but yes, I think he could have used something just like Scott Hall to get that just a little more out of him. Just that pull in just that little bit more.
Yep, I fully agree.
Well, that's overrated, underrated this week for never holding a world championship belt. And now we move on to tearing apart and talking about AEW and the fun that was two nights ago.
Yeah, this show, we kind of see why those ratings drop, Brian. The AEW's got to pick it up. They've got to figure out who they're pushing, who they're putting on TV. Every week, it's just a clusterfuck. You either got the beginning of a match being complete chaos or the end of a match being complete chaos. And they've got to tune this shit out, man. They've got to weed out the garbage and get the stuff that's going to keep people in their seats in front of their TVs watching.
I thought they did a good job. We're just going to go by this. When it started up, it was Hangman Adam Page taking on Brian Cage. And I thought that was a decent opening match. For just I'm just talking before I hear, just when I hear the card, what's opening us up. I was like, hey, they're doing it again. They got a good opening match. We teased Brian Cage on the show, because he something happened to him one time in Impact. I don't remember what happened, and but yeah, but I was like, this will be a good match, and then the shit hits the fan.
Right. So we open the show, and as the announcers run us down what we're going to see tonight, and you see our opening match is going to be Adam Page versus Brian Cage, and I'm going to break down the fourth wall here, Brian. Even taking notes on here, the pages and cages we're getting mixed up. I had to fine tooth comb them and proofread and everything, but I think we got it good here. Adam Page versus Brian Cage. On paper, this is going to be a great match. The minute the shit starts, Adam Page is jumped by Team Taz. Dark Order comes out to save the day, and you just got a whole ass Team Taz versus Dark Order brawl going on before the match even starts. And Adam Page is getting his ass whooped. The bell's not ringing. The referee standing in the middle of the bell, or in the middle of the ring. And after Adam Page gets the shit kicked out of him, we're just going to go ahead and start this match like nothing ever happened.
Right. That was a little off-putting for me. I thought that they maybe should have taken that time to pull a good WWE move and say, well, we're going to push this match back. And then they could tease it out a little bit. All right, we'll push it out, and we'll get something else in front of here. Maybe at that time they throw the Team Taz in the ring and Dark Order and make it a match, and then you get, then you can get the Adam Page, Brian Cage match in a little bit down the road. But they didn't. They just cleared them out and said, okay, you guys got your time on TV. We've allotted you 5 minutes each, and you've got your time. Now, bye-bye. And then they send the factions to the back, and then Adam Page, being the hard-nosed cowboy he is, says, ring the bell, let's go. Fits his character.
Yeah, but this just highlights my major problem with this type of wrestling show here. So you got that fine line where we all know wrestling is staged. We all know wrestling is predetermined and choreographed. But there's some of us on the old school line who want you to work hard to make us believe it, to get some sort of emotional reaction out of us, to get us to want to see the good guy kick the shit out of the heel or vice versa, whatever your style is. But when you have the babyface get the shit kicked out of him before the match, and then you just start the match like nothing happened, believability's out the window. Could you imagine a boxing match? I don't know, Mike Tyson versus Buster Douglas, and they come down to the ring. That's an old reference. Good luck finding that one, kids. And somebody hops out of the audience and hits Mike Tyson with a baseball bat in the head. Do you think old Mills Lane is going to be like, go ahead, ring the bell, start the fight?
Tyson says it's good.
No, you got to get him checked out. You got to make sure he's okay. You got to make sure he's in fighting condition. Nobody's going to believe this shit that Adam Page is just he's good to fight. He's good to fight this 265-pound monster.
That on top of it is they had him going against Brian Cage, he's a beast. So it's like Adam Page is super strong, but I get what they were going for is that hard-nosed cowboy, I got this, I can do it, blah, blah, blah. But it wasn't so much, it was just a shit show of having everybody come down before the bell even rang again.
This match was the perfect example of something that looked great on paper, great plan, terrible execution. So you got the brawl at the beginning, just complete shit show. Once the match does get started, Brian Cage power bombs the absolute living shit out of Adam Page on the entrance ramp, right there on the hardwood ramp. That is a stupid ass bump to take for a free Wednesday night show. Nobody's going to remember this match. In a month, you and I aren't going to be like, remember that Adam Page, Brian Cage match where Page took a bump on the ramp, a hell of a bump? You got to save dangerous shit like that where you're risking getting CTE and being in a fucking hospital bed for 6 months. You got to save that shit. If you're going to do it, make some money on it. Bring some viewers in for it. Just out of the blue, Adam Page is getting slammed flat back on a wooden ramp.
Yeah, that, and you're working with, TNT production team here is not the greatest. They were known for being very crappy in WCW back in the late 90s through the 2000s into that early 2000 of missing things. So TNT and WCW used to send anybody who was on their production team. So it could have been somebody who shot TV for the Atlanta Braves or for a basketball from when the TNT and NBA, and then they'd be like, all right, you got to go shoot wrestling tonight. And they would miss these hot spots, these hot tags, and these big spots of people risking their lives. And you damn near missed this one, too. It was a terrible angle for TV. There's nobody in the audience. You got to make sure this stuff's planned. So when you take a spot like that and you can't remember your kids' names in 10 years, that at least it was semi-worth it, I guess.
Right. You're taking ridiculous, dangerous bumps for absolute nothing. There's no audience, or what's there, maybe 300 people in the crowd,
And the first 10 rows are your buddies in the B league of your YouTube show. It's all wrestlers up front.
So it comes down to work smarter, not harder, and everybody wins. Your wrestlers aren't risking their lives and getting injured for a Wednesday night show that no one's going to remember. And everybody stays healthier, and then the fans, us, the audience, if we're conditioned to see dangerous, ridiculous high spots and bumps every single week, there's nothing special about them anymore. If you're going to powerbomb a guy onto a wooden ramp on a willy-nilly Wednesday night, what are you going to do on a $50 pay-per-view? Like, shoot him in the head with a fucking gun? Like, you know what I'm saying? There's got to be levels of shit. Shit you do for free, you got to have something better to do on pay-per-view. And it seems like AEW just blows their load every Wednesday night, does everything special they can do.
Yeah, they're just going for those, if you will, those clips and those sound bites style of performances, and that's just going to get you nowhere fast. And that goes on
mindset.
And that goes on intertwined through the rest of this show, people. Not our show, their show.
No. Now let's sprinkle some good in here. Brian Cage, when's the last time we've seen him in a singles match? I honestly don't remember.
Singles match, I don't remember. He had so much stuff where he was intertwined with, what's his name there? The other guy from the Team Taz that I'm having came over from NWA. Says he's like The Rock. The hell's the guy's name?
Yeah,
Ricky
John Starks.
Ricky Starks.
Yeah.
Lots of tag stuff with him and Ricky. But singles, I can't remember the last time.
We've just seen so much of Brian Cage cutting promos, wearing jeans and suits and wrestling and pajamas or whatever. He actually got to go out there in a singles match and kind of reminded us of why we like him, why he was sought after from Impact, even after losing to Tessa Blanchard in the middle of the Impact ring, why Tony Khan still sought him out to be a top guy in AEW. He definitely showed that. His power moves were flawless in this match with Adam Page. A lot of that can be attributed to Adam Page because he knows how to take shit. He knows how to bump. He knows how to sell. But Brian Cage definitely deserves some credit too. And his kicks and his jumps and his shit. Brian Cage is a very athletic monster. He's humongous, but he's athletic as all hell.
That standing moonsault in the middle of the ring, that was impressive.
Right.
I mean, and then going into this too, I'm going, wow, they're going to put Adam Page in here with Brian Cage. Page can cover up for the flaws and the things that Brian Cage is lacking. This is going to look good. This will be a good match. And the start off, as we talked about, was garbage. And as we got into the match, it was pretty decent going into it. They were feeling each other out, lots of power moves, and Adam Page is selling his ass off. And the whole time, I'm waiting for the comeback from Adam Page.
Precisely. Just a couple more things to poke on in here. Adam Page, it's the indie mentality. This guy hasn't been in front of TV cameras a lot, but he just loves taking stupid bumps. I was writing them as fast as they were happening. We got upside. First, we had that entrance ramp bump. Then we have upside down guardrail bumps. We got ring apron bumps, body slams on the outside of the ring. Adam Page is he's just going through every spot that could put him in the hospital in this match. But back to Brian Cage, his strength is ridiculous.
Yes.
Brian Cage, Adam Page did this spot where Page is out on the ring apron. Brian Cage steps on the bottom rope and goes to suplex Adam Page into the ring. Adam Page did not help at all. By no means did he dead weight, but there was no spring in his step. Brian Cage muscled his ass up like he was a teddy bear. Straight up into the air, no effort whatsoever, and suplexed him into the ring. And that was a highlight. A simple suplex was a highlight for Brian Cage for me in this match.
Yeah, the Brian Cage, if he can hone his craft in just a little bit tighter, clean up his talking, and have a good or get a good mouthpiece. He's got Taz with him right now, but keep that going and just tighten up some of the fundamentals. He's going to be a dude. He'll be one people are talking about. He'll be one that you can see go somewhere, but I think they came in and expected him to be that right away, and he didn't deliver there. They threw him with Taz and said, "Okay, let's clean this up and work with him, Taz."
Brian Cage is the perfect example of why you have a Tully Blanchard in your company, why you have an Arn Anderson, why you have a Taz. These guys need to focus on Brian Cage. Basically, they each need to take turns with him on the off days. And Brian Cage can be a fucking beast. He could be a top guy in any company with the right fine tuning and the right fundamental training.
Yes. And then as we moved on through this match, as I stated a little bit ago, just waiting for that Adam Page comeback. And we just never got it. And me being what we like to call ourselves here, as funny as it may sound, the smart mark, going, oh, so Adam Page got jumped. He got beat up. He decided to still go on with the match. He's getting his ass handed to him by Brian Cage. All right, the comeback's coming, and he's going to win because, he went through all this shit. He's going to stand up and raise his hand and be with his neck broken. I can finish anything. My God, we didn't get any of that.
No. Logic tells you, I'm right with you, Brian. So that was the expected outcome. You expect Adam Page to hulk up, if you will, and come back and prove everybody wrong, that he got his ass whooped before the match and he's going to come back and win. Or even if he's going to lose, even if Brian Cage is going to go over in this match, at least it would make the match more interesting if Adam Page got a comeback, got the babyface comeback, even if it was short-lived and it didn't end up getting him the victory there. But instead, we get a smidgen of a comeback with Adam Page doing a backflip off of the ring post and landing on Brian Cage. That was beautiful. But after that, we just get a barrage of attacks from Brian Cage on Adam Page. We get an F5, followed by a power bomb, followed by a buckle bomb, followed by a drill claw, and then we get a pin. So Brian Cage just runs Adam Page into the ground, and for lack of a better term, squashes him.
Yeah.
This was a squash match where you had a mid card, because he doesn't wrestle often, a mid card heel squash one of your top baby faces, and it doesn't make any sense.
Or at least what people keep deeming is going to be one of the top baby faces, one of the top baby face prospects, but they just don't let him get there for some reason. He's going to be on my goddamn list here on episode 200 of the guys overrated, underrated, who never held a world title. When I revisit it, it'll be Adam Page will be on that goddamn list at this rate.
Yeah, that's real talk, Brian. Since the beginning of AEW, since the Jericho Cruise and whatnot, Adam Page has always been that guy where like, well, he'll be getting the AEW title soon. He's gonna get it off Kenny Omega. He's gonna get it off Mox, and
He gets there.
they won't even give the guy a TNT belt.
Yeah, he got to hold the tag team belt with Kenny Omega for a little bit in a weird tag team thing, and that was about all they gave him. I don't know what's happened with that. Now, I'm not saying that maybe they're, again, as you like to deem it, Eric, maybe we're playing checkers and they're over there playing chess. But we're talking about AEW, so my faith in that comment is lacking in all aspects. But nonetheless, maybe there's some big thing that they're looking to turn him in the next, this year. Maybe he's going to go through a slump. Maybe he goes back with the Elite, and then that puts him to the moon. But, I don't know. I don't know what they do. But nonetheless, I guess we'll see. But I was very surprised by the ending of this.
God, if they turn him heel and stick him with Omega and the Young Bucks, yeah, I will turn off the TV for Adam Page after that, because he is a babyface through and through, and without even giving him a chance to be a top babyface, if they throw him back with the Elite, I'm going to be pretty pissed.
The only time he worked with the Elite and, quote, being a heel is when they were in Japan, and the heels in the Bullet Club were heels, but they were because they were the English crew. So it worked that way.
Okay.
But, other than that, I'm with you. He's babyface all day.
Yes, sir. And speaking of the Elite, we've got them in apparently the world's smallest limo. I am 100% sure that Tony Khan ordered a limo and got a Lincoln Town car, and they crammed fucking. Let's see, you got Young Bucks, Callis, Nakazawa, the Good Brothers, and Kenny Omega. You got 7 of these fucks crammed into the smallest limo I've ever seen in my entire life. Like they're going to junior high prom.
And the cameraman.
Oh, yeah. Don't forget the cameraman. He's got to be there for everything.
Why they couldn't have just got out and talked in front of it? Some old NWO style. Like, oh, here comes his limousine. And they could have got out. But, yeah, that looked awkward and strange. Like, you've got full-grown men in there, and these are wrestlers, right? These are little bigger than average dudes crammed into this ring. I mean, just Doc Gallows is a giant to be crammed into a limousine.
And one of them's not wearing pants, and they feel the need to point that out.
I think it was just a joke. I think he just had short shorts on, and the way he was sitting, you couldn't see him, to be honest with you. And I think it was just a stab at the joke, but it didn't come across very well.
No. And this whole thing was just goof troop all the way. It seemed like they were inside the building with the garage door down from what you could see through the windshield. Michael Nakazawa starts honking the horn like crazy.
Oh, I hit the wrong button.
And they're overselling it. And the Good Brothers are freaking out and having a heart attack like they've got real life PTSD from John Moxley running a truck into a trailer they weren't even in last week. They're freaking the fuck out. And Michael Nakazawa says, "Oh, I hit the wrong button." And my son chimes in with, "What do you mean you hit the wrong button? How does that make you honk the horn?"
Well, I don't know why they didn't play this either, that they outsmarted Mox and Kingston.
Yeah.
Why they didn't play that that they outsmarted them. You guys tried to run us over. We weren't even in the trailer by the time you figure out how to put your car into drive. Why wasn't that a better comment? Because they outsmarted them last week. Why not run with it? Now they're scared of them. So last week they're smarter than them. This week they're scared of them.
So this is the thing, consistency. That's like item number 736 that AEW fucks up. Are you cocky heels or are you chicken shit heels? Because we keep bouncing back and forth within the same show. We'll get the cockiest sons of bitches on earth as the Elite. You got the Young Bucks with their $10,000 Christian Dior Michael Jordan shoes. You know, you got Omega dressed to the T, and they're cocky as all hell, but they're acting like chicken shit heels that they're all freaked out and scared from a contrived bullshit event that happened last week. That was the fakest thing I've seen on TV.
They could even played it off that said, "You dummies, we weren't even there when you ran into it."
Stay cocky. Keep your heels cocky. If you want them to be cocky heels, run with it. The Elite can do that. They can play that up so well.
I'm with you. I thought I saw that and I went, this whole thing inside this limo, and I went, whoop, this is dog shit.
Dog shit, precisely. And speaking of dog shit, our next match here, we got Matt and Mike Sydal versus the Young Bucks. And this, to me, Brian, I'm not saying you're the biggest fan, but you're definitely a bigger fan of indie style wrestling than I am. To me, this was just a pile of contrived, overcomplicated, and sloppy spots that just was like mush. It was gruel. It was homeless shelter stool. Not stool. Stew.
Well,
where you're just
same difference. It looks the same coming in, going out.
Right.
So where I'm at with the indie style wrestling is I'm always a fan. It's like a punk rock band or an underground rap group or something like that I'm fan of in the indie style wrestling. I'm fans of these guys that went out and made it and made you recognize who they are without a machine behind them. You know, after what they do with it, when people start to recognize you, that we'll see if you can keep that love going. So the punk rock band, the Young Bucks, made me notice them. I don't know if I like them signed to a major label of AEW. But anyways, I think, yes, this match was just, again, it's that same thing I used earlier. It's, you know, for a lack of a better term, it's sound bites. This will look good on a 30-second TikTok reel, which we'll call, you know, or a YouTube thing or whatever, and that's it. That's all you need to know. Boom, 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 highlight reel, pop, 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 sizzle, pop, pop, pop. There you go, all sizzle. And it's a wrap. But it doesn't come across that way every single week. You can't sell me the same shit every single week.
I don't know how this is going to come out because I literally just pulled it out of my ass about 2 seconds ago. AEW fits perfect with the overused cliche, everybody and their brother is over there. Because just because you got the Jacksons, the Cucamonga kids, Nick Jackson and Matt Jackson, they're brothers and they're a successful tag team. And whatever, that's fine, that works. But you got Matt Sydal, a.k.a. Evan Bourne, fully trained, fantastic wrestler, spent time in WWE. We don't need Mike. Mike is going to weigh the team down. And then, hell, you've got Top Flight. You just need everybody and their brother over here. You got Cerro De Niro, and then you got his brother, Felix.
Felix!
Like, why's everybody got to bring their brother? Or Phoenix, yeah. Why's everybody got to bring their brother to the goddamn wrestling show with you?
I thought you were
like No Limit Records, where Master P was the talent. Here I am with my dated references, but Master P gets platinum albums, and then all of a sudden you got his little brother Silk on a record. Then you got his big brother C Murder on the record, and then it's R.I.P. Kevin Miller on his arm, and
Everybody gets a
everybody
deal.
of their brother doesn't have the talent.
It's like Oprah. You get a car. You get a car. I see what they're doing with Matt and Evan Seidel. Is that no wait, not Matt and Evan. Matt and Mike.
It's Matt and Mike.
Matt and Evan are the same guy.
Right.
Matt, is that he's trying to get that young cat some and have Mike have some training, and who's going to teach him better than Big Brother. I get the idea. Again, poor execution. I get the idea if you're going to have them tag on your YouTube show. Be on your elevation and tag over there, but they can come over here and be singles wrestlers, and that way you can keep your game tight. This match, again, was high spot. No good story being told.
No, sound bites, precisely. Even down with the Bucks doing their goofy heel shit. At one point, Bald Buck is kind of knocked loopy in the ring, and Buck Hogan there pulls his brother out of the ring, takes his place, and he's playing possum in the ring. Rick Knox, completely clueless. The Young Bucks look nothing alike. Just look at their fucking hairline, and you can tell that they switched places.
That the blonde and the brunette changed spots. They weren't aware of that.
Right. Rick Knox just fucking clueless. I guess they picked the perfect referee. He's a complete idiot in every match that goes on.
They could have at least did the old Rockers gimmick where they just clap and then jump out of the ring. I remember the Rockers would always do that spot. You would just like, the ref would turn his back, and then Marty would be like, he'd just clap his hands by the ref, and then Sean would come in and Marty would jump out. And he's like, no, we tagged. You heard it. You heard he's tapping his ear. And they just keep doing that spot over and over again. That'd have been funny.
Yeah. An old 1989 spot from the Rockers would have played out better than this, than Rick Knox just being the three blind mice and not seeing a damn thing.
All three of them.
The Seidel brothers do get a little bit of a comeback from the Young Bucks here, where Matt, the more talented of the two, reverses a Meltzer driver into, I don't know if this was Shivani or excrement here, that said that he reversed the Meltzer driver into a slice and jawbreaker.
That's Excalibur. That's got to be.
Yeah, it's going to be excrement. Tony Schiavone's clueless sometimes too, but yeah.
The whole thing with this match too that drove me nuts that they kept driving in is that if Matt and Mike Seidel beat the Young Bucks, they get a title shot at the Young Bucks.
Yes, this has been something that we've touched on in previous shows. This is a running joke in AEW, apparently, that in order to get a match against the champions, you have to beat the champions.
Why this match wasn't... Why this... And it'll come to the ending here, but why this match wasn't against SCU? I'll never understand.
All right, so having your team that you want to give a chance, the Seidel brothers, facing the number one contenders of Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian. Now, that's not original, Brian. Original is having the Seidel brothers having to beat the champions to get a match at the champions. Now, it's original because nobody uses it. You know why nobody uses that?
Because it sucks.
Because it's fucking stupid.
You know what would make it? You know where I could buy it, though? You may not buy into this part, but I would buy this, for one, it's my idea, so I like it, is that the match, though, immediately follows. So if you beat the tag team champions, 1, 2, 3, new match, so you get a chance to beat them 2 out of 3, you're the champions, but the champions only have to beat you once.
Now, I'm not exactly going bananas over that idea, but it makes more sense than this.
I'm just saying on a Wednesday night, you're going to put this out there. At least that makes sense, right? That's what I'm saying. It's not amazing. I like my idea, but it's not, don't call me Vince McMahon here. I'm not the greatest booker. But I'm pretty good in my own mind.
But just to keep up with the sound bites here, just more stupid shit between these two. In what world? So the Young Bucks, what do you think their legit weight is? Probably 175, 180, something around
they're
there.
206 because they were heavier than 205. No, they got to be.
Okay.
But that was the joke in New Japan a few years back. They were going for that because New Japan has the lightweight tag team championship,
Which 205 or under.
205 or under, and they were going for the big boy championship. Not they call them the junior championship over there, and then the big boy ones is 205 and over, or 206. So they said they weighed in at 206. But they got to probably be close to there. They're pretty thick. See if while you talk, I'll look them up on Wikipedia.
Sure, look up their legit weights there, but still, sound bites, unbelievable stupid spots that nobody with half a brain could buy. The Young Bucks are probably a legit 175, 180. You got Matt Sydal, who's even smaller than that. In what world?
You're pretty good. Matt Jackson on here on their Wikipedia, 172, and Nick 178.
All right.
And both.
So yeah, either way, they're both smaller guys.
Yeah.
But still, that is 350 pounds between the two of them. In what world could tiny Matt Sydal hurricanrana both of them at the same time? Hell, in what world could Matt Sydal hurricanrana either one of them if they didn't want to go with them?
Yeah.
But somehow, some way in this match, Matt Sydal double hurricanranas both of the Young Bucks.
Yeah, with Matt Sydal. Oh, I thought I had him on here. Nonetheless, sorry. Wrong Matt Sydal. I pulled up the meteorologist, Matt Sydal.
Oh, goodness. They're probably about the same size. 150 pounds soaking wet.
Yeah, somewhere there.
Now, there was a goofy spot that actually got a chuckle out of me, and I actually rewound it and rewatched it, and that was the Johnny Cage low blow from Buck Hogan here. He dropped down, did the splits, and just straight up did a straight punch to, I believe, Matt Sydal's family jewels there. And this played well with the new Mortal Kombat movie being released this week on HBO Max. And Johnny Cage was teased at the end of that movie. Spoiler alert. And The Miz in WWE is making it very well known that he wants to play Johnny Cage in the sequel to Mortal Kombat. So this just played well, the timing, and Matt Jackson is an entertaining guy sometimes with this drop-down nut shot. It got a genuine giggle out of me.
I thought it was a well-placed, well-timed, and not even just in the match, just overall usage of it. Now, if he does it next week too, I'm over it already. Don't be a cockroach.
There we go. Don't do your indie tour shit on me, guys.
Yeah.
But the Bucks end up hitting the BTE trigger here, and they get the win. Surprise, surprise.
Yeah, we saw that one coming, and if it didn't go that way, I'd have been really surprised. And the AEW would just be throwing me all off the course here.
Right. And then we get our appearance from Kaz and Christopher Daniels. And my question from a couple weeks ago, I thought that they said once they lose a match together, they'll never wrestle together again. They answer that question, whether it's truthful or not. I'm taking the Mandela effect answer here, where I swear they wrestled and lost, and it was just erased from the universe.
I'm pretty sure that they actually never wrestled, and they wrestled independently or singles and lost, and then we just got confused. So when they announced it 6 months ago, I don't think they ever tagged since then. So of course they never lost.
Yeah, they were probably just in each other's corner, and I assumed and made my own memories out of that. But Kaz and Christopher Daniels said they never lost a match together, and they're sticking to their story that if they lose a match together, they'll never team again. But somehow they're the number one contenders, even though I haven't seen them wrestle as a team in at least 6 months, Brian.
Maybe they're just popping off over there on Elevation on the YouTube channel.
That's quite the possibility, because my fingers never clicked on an episode of Evolution or whatever the fuck it's called. Christopher Daniels.
AEW menstruation.
Yes. Christopher Daniels rips on the Young Bucks for their new attitude, says he used to like them, he used to be great friends with them, and now their new attitude sucks. And now Kazarian and Daniels want those belts. And I'm a little worried at this point, Brian, because even though we haven't seen them wrestle in a while, I like Christopher Daniels and Frankie Kazarian as a team. But there's no way the Young Bucks are dropping the titles to these two idiots.
Well, unfortunately, Daniels, CD as he's called on the streets, is just getting older. And I don't think he can get beat up. They may give him the belts. They may give him one whirlwind tour so Christopher Daniels can go out and on a retirement match. And that's when they lose. They lose the belts, and then he retires, and they have to split, and then he never wrestles again, right? Makes sense. Sounds like a good story. For one, again, I like it because I made it up. But B, it'll never happen because it makes sense, and I like it.
Right. And that would require the Young Bucks to come off their high horse for a few minutes and drop those belts to a couple of old vets. But we go in the back to a pre-taped vignette for old Jade Cargill here. And guess what, Brian?
What's that?
She's that bitch.
She's that bitch.
And that's all I got out of that.
Yeah. So she's looking for a manager, and everybody wants a piece of Jade Cargill's money. And they ain't getting Jade's money because I'm that bitch. Well, there you go. Cool.
All right. And on to our next abortion of the night here. We've got Orange Cassidy with Trent.
Versus
Penta Cerro Dinero with his buddy Alex.
I did like in this match. So we spoke last week, we praised AEW last week for having some well-placed, put-together matches that made sense for guys taking on the right guys. So far, I still think we had guys taking on the right guys. I can give them that. Adam Page, Brian Cage, as confusing as the name conundrum is, decent. That's just put together, kind of crappy, didn't understand it.
Right.
Young Bucks and the Seidel boys. That was a squash match to put the Young Bucks over to build up towards this SCU thing, right? Okay, great. We move on. And this match, too, I was like, well, all right, you got Orange Cassidy, kind of over the nonsense, but you got him in there. He's not against Chris Jericho. He's not against, MJF or something. He's against Cerro Dinero. Makes sense. And, we say Cerro Dinero so much here on this podcast that when they call them Cerro Miero, like you're supposed to say it on the show, I thought they said it wrong, and then realizing that I'm thinking wrong. But nonetheless, I even thought this match made sense, just at the card, not the match, just the looking at going Orange Cassidy taking on Penta. Great. And
Precisely, and that's the theme of this episode, Brian. On paper, again, I'm not the biggest Orange Cassidy fan. I think the viewers know that. But we're going styles here. When Orange Cassidy is on, he's a high flyer. He does some pretty athletic moves, and he can be entertaining. Same thing with Cerro Dinero. High flyer, does entertaining shit. So these two working together in the right way could be an entertaining match. Execution, however, on this match, garbage.
Yeah, so, and then the one thing, though, I did like is that, who's that goofball that came out with Penta?
Alex.
Yeah, Alex, the
translator manager guy.
Yeah, the best is when JR just says, how do you say nerd in Spanish?
I missed that. Damn.
And he just was like, this guy's a nerd. How do you say nerd in Spanish? And just buried him. I
love JR.
He's
so old and grumpy, and he doesn't give a fuck.
He didn't really say much this whole show. It seemed different.
Yeah, you had a lot of people really. So you had Taz in the first match talking over him and doing all the talking, and then we had Don Callis in the last match. So at this point, we haven't heard a whole lot from JR.
But just for him to bury this Alex goofball because he doesn't understand it, they still didn't explain the Trent with the question mark thing because we're just supposed to know.
Right.
There you go.
And we start this match, Brian, with at least 3 minutes. anywhere between 3 and 5 minutes of Penta and Cassidy here dueling between their stupid gimmicks that they do. You got Orange Cassidy attempting to put his hands in his pockets and Cerro De Niro blocking his pocket hands and throwing the Cero Miedo hand sign in his face. This goes back and forth comedy spot for 3 to 5 minutes. This is only a 2-hour show and you got like 200 people in the back. You could have squeezed another match just from cutting that stupid comedy spot out of this.
I thought that I didn't necessarily call it a comedy spot because it wasn't funny, but I think that because Penta is so kind of gangster, kind of hood, the way that he carries himself, that it makes sense for him to be so hype, where he's like, Seattle, Miata, and he's like, but he's aggressive with it, right? He's pushing the fingers in the face and pushing him away. It would make sense, though, if the other character was doing something as aggressive back to build up that tension, right? But all Orange Cassidy wants to do is play pocket pool. But he's not even doing that aggressively. And I get he's from wherever, weighing whatever, the whole he doesn't care thing. But it just had to, it wasn't translating between the two of what they were both trying to do. And then when he takes off his glove, he very over the top, Penta takes off his glove, his batting glove that he wears, and he rips it off, and then he throws it in the air, and fucking dickhead Alex tries to catch it and barely catches it. And he Miedos him again, and he pushes him in the face. And then Orange Cassidy takes the glasses off, and he tries to throw them so that way Trent can catch them, and Trent just misses them. None of it made sense. None of it clicked. If Trent could have caught that, at least you got that going for this little spot, right? But he didn't catch the glasses. He didn't catch the glove. The whole thing fell apart.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes of this match was just wasted. I get what you're saying with Penta. He's gangster. He's not playing this pocket shit once. You only needed it once. You could have had Pockets try to put his hands in his pockets one time. Cerro De Niro block him. Seattle Miedo in his face. Bam. Start the action. Cut out the stupid shit, throwing your sunglasses, throwing your glove, and get the action rolling there. And this match, it wouldn't have started with such a bad taste in my mouth. But Orange Cassidy eventually gets his hands in his pockets, and then you're just treated to more fake bullshit. It was as clear as day that Penta is doing these moves to himself. He's throwing himself around the ring.
You mean the arm drag with his hands in his pockets? You didn't buy it?
Precisely. That was number one example right there, amongst 2 or 3 other moves where Penta is, for lack of a better example, fighting the Invisible Man, because Orange Cassidy's not getting anything done with his hands in his pockets. And it's just, so we get a really bad comedy spot that wasn't funny, followed by the most goofy, unbelievable, fake throwing himself around the ring shit. And now at this point, you're probably 6-7 minutes into the match, and you're just, if you're a wrestling fan of any of the classic shit, I'm not saying 80s NWA, I'm saying Bret Hart, Shawn Michaels, Stone Cold Steve Austin, Edge, Christian, anyone with talent. If you're a wrestling fan of those guys and you're watching this, you gotta have a sour taste in your mouth.
That, and because you brought it up, so The Rock, Stone Cold, Edge, and Christian, you named a couple there for great wrestling, right? But they also had great comedy spots. So I don't want people to think that I hate comedy or that Eric hates comedy spots. We like good comedy spots and ones that are funny. So Edge and Christian's 5 minutes, or their third, whatever it was, their little 3-second pose that they would do was always funny every week. They changed it. It was funny. The Rock and anything that he said, his guitar solos and him singing, funny. So anyways, what I'm getting at is make it funny and make it good. You didn't do either on this one, so thumbs down.
Precisely. Just to throw one more example in there, just to pour salt in the wound, Kurt Angle. Anybody Kurt Angle worked with, he got great comedy out of, whether it was I'm a Sexy Kurt, whether it was working with Stone Cold and wearing a tiny cowboy hat, whether it was working with The Rock and doing a fake interview with him. Kurt Angle knew comedy. This is not comedy.
And
it's not funny at all.
Kurt could get in the ring with Brock Lesnar and put on a hell of a match.
Kurt Angle, no, that wasn't Kurt Angle. Never mind. Somebody made Brock laugh one time. It was the guy with the little brother, the invisible 24/7 champion.
I was gonna say
Ron Killings.
I was gonna say Kate Quick. Neither one of us can get our truth out to save our lives. We both go to his independent TNA bullshit.
Right. But yeah, Kate Quick has more comedy chops than Cerro De Niro and Orange Cassidy in this spec. And one other question, Brian, because I'm pretty much wrapped on this match. I noticed it last week, and I thought it was a slip of the tongue, but it happened again this week. We are seeing textbook vertical suplexes, and they're now called brain busters. I remember a brain buster being closer to a Goldberg jackknife, or not jackknife, but where the fuck Goldberg? Jackhammer. I see a brain buster being closer to that than what these guys are doing. These guys aren't.
I remember Arn Anderson's brain buster was like a vertical suplex, but then into like a sit down, like you're gonna give a stunner. So you like a DDT, a suplex, vertical suplex DDT style move. Not just a suplex.
Precisely. This is just vertical suplexes. They're calling brain busters now, and that's driving me nuts.
And that's driving me nuts. And then, of course, Dickhead gets the microphone here, as we'll just jump to the end of this here.
Yeah.
What's his name? Alex? Is it Alex?
Yeah, Alex. Hold on. One more.
Oh, there's another one.
Terrible spot. One more. We're going to ignore Penta's Canadian Destroyer because
we've
Chauncey as that moves he made it look all right. But Orange Cassidy hitting this flying DDT off of the top rope. That was just one more example of Penta having to do a move to himself to make Orange Cassidy look good.
Yes.
But yeah, at that point, Alex gets the mic and starts talking shit to Cassidy, and I'll pass that to you there.
This just sucks because it was the same thing as last week. He tries to be cool. It doesn't fit. What's Spanish for dork? And then he gets thrown into the ring. Somehow, Orange Cassidy can pick that man up and throw him into the ring. I can't pick up my 70-pound daughter and throw her like that. This guy jumps and gets thrown into the ring. Then the microphone gets played into the thing again because now Trent has the microphone. Boom, you get an orange punch with the microphone. Another move involving the microphone. Again, second, third, fourth week in a row. And then you get Orange Cassidy with the win. It was just kind of like, hey, wait for it. Everybody likes to go see a band play the same songs over and over again, right? Rolling Stones are going to play Brown Sugar. It's just a guarantee. But some of these spots don't need to be your Sweet Home Alabama. A microphone spot to end your wrestling matches doesn't need to be it. I like the Young Bucks, the Meltzer drivers, and those types of things. We want to bring these guys in from, but some of these spots don't need to be done and tell the same story, the same style every single week.
Right. This is like picking a song at the bottom of your track list and trying to make it your go home hit, your opening hit on every show. It just doesn't work.
Sucks.
The whole Cassidy and Alex over the top rope thing was the polar opposite of what we saw with Brian Cage and Adam Page. and and this orange punch with the microphone. Apparently, nowadays in AEW, the microphone has superpowers.
It's made of lead. This is what we don't.
And you can tap somebody with the foam end of it, and it just knocks them silly. Penta, who's not even beat up at this point, besides giving himself a DDT, orange punch just puts him out.
But an orange punch with a microphone.
Holding the microphone.
Oh, easy now.
This is booking for children. This is writing for children, and it's just cartoon. This is the equivalent of the Roadrunner dropping an Acme anvil on Wile E. Coyote. Except in this case, the Acme anvil is a microphone.
Boom, he's out. That's a wrap. And again, that's how it ends, and that's how they go off. Throw the sunglasses on Orange Cassidy, and he's the king shit at Turd Island. Who cares?
Yeah. And we
Yep.
Yep. Off to the back where we get Tony Schiavone with the new number one contender for the female AEW championship, Britt Baker, who pretty much says a whole lot of nothing to point out that she's the number one contender.
Right.
But still, I love hearing and watching Britt Baker talk.
Well,
her body language is just body language and tone of speaking. It's just spot on heel shit.
Here's one I can give AEW. I can buy without going back to the records that Britt Baker's got to be the number one contender. She doesn't really. I mean, the matches she wins. I remember her winning on TV. I don't have to go back and look up the number and go, oh, she won those ones and lost those ones. I go, no, she's won a lot on TV and pay-per-views and such. So I'm all right with that. That makes sense. That's all I need. I don't need it to even be true. I just need it to go in my head. Go, yeah, I remember seeing her win a handful of times. That makes sense. She should go for the title shot, and she's using it very well. And I think it's good stuff. So that's just where I stand on that. It just makes sense. So if you're going to put these SCU tag teams together and back to that, you can say they should at least have some matches on Dynamite that I can remember.
Right. And that's back to something we touch on every week. AEW and Tony Khan assume that we watch every minute of footage they put out, whether it's on YouTube, whether it's on Twitch, whether it's on TNT. And we don't. So to us, casual shit, we do a whole show based on AEW. So you can't really call us casual viewers. Just imagine more people who are more casual of watching AEW wrestling than us. They have no idea what's going on.
No, we watch it every week and still don't know what's going on. But I do like that where they're at with Britt. It makes sense, and I can buy it.
Right. So Britt Baker, a short promo, she gets her point across, and there's nothing wrong with that. I can't complain about Britt Baker. Now we move into our Pinnacle and Inner Circle parlay in the middle of the ring to determine who's going to get the one-man advantage in the War Games style blood and guts match that we got coming up next week.
I like this. For the most part, I like this. I thought each guy was given their spots to talk. As a whole, I'm sure we'll break it down a little bit more, but where I just stand on an overall overview basis is everybody got their promos in. Nobody was really interrupted. They each got to do their thing. Well done. It didn't get very super over contrived. There was some entrances that were, they went over the top. It made sense. They're trying to build up this big, if you will, special event in next week. And I just like this whole thing. It made sense, except for one thing, and we'll talk about it as we roll on. So what did you think about this?
All right. So yeah, we'll see where you hit the speed bump in this one. I thought that this was going to be drawn out way too long, and I thought it was going to end up with bad promos, and I couldn't be happier that I was wrong for the most part. We got Mr. Royce here, Peyton Royce's husband. What's his name in here? Sean Spears. Sean Spears. We actually got a really good promo out of him going after Sammy Guevara here, and he was going for the throat.
Well, What
passing the mic back
go ahead.
passing the mic back to Sammy, I don't think we've seen Sammy speak too much since back when he was feuding with Matt Hardy. Sammy's got the chops, and Sammy is, I don't know what it was. He looks more like a man now. To me, he always resembled a little boy. I don't know if he's getting a little more facial hair. I don't know if he's beefing up a little bit or if he was just wearing the right clothes, but he actually seemed like a full-grown man in there on the heel side cutting these promos. And Sammy just playing up the cocky heel shit says, fuck it. You guys can have the advantage. I'll kick all your asses.
Yeah. I like that they also kind of size the guys up, right? So Sean Spears, okay, he's going to yell at Sammy Guevara. You know, MJF, he's staring and yelling at Jericho. The FTR, they're yelling at Proud and Powerful. And then you got the two meatheads at the end that they didn't let talk, which was perfect.
Perfect. I was going to mention that a little later on. One of the highlights, it fits that they were on the ends of the thing. This was a perfect sandwich right here. On one end, you had the two best promos in the company, Jericho and MJF. And on the other end, those dumb motherfuckers didn't get to touch the microphone because they both sound like stuttering John Menendez on the mic.
And they don't need that, so we'll just move right past them, right? And then you went out going, hey, that was pretty good. And when they get in the ring next week at Blood and Guts, you'll go, oh yeah, they just threw a guy through a cage because they can. You'll forget
They're
they
apes.
can't talk. You'll forget they can't talk, and you'll be amazed at what they did in the ring.
Right. Coco Gorilla has more mic skills than these two idiots. But yeah, we'll get to see what they're meant to do next week in Blood and Guts. So
and then you move over
we get pretty decent promos out of FTR here with Cash Wheeler calling Proud and Powerful a couple of lapdogs for Chris Jericho, saying that they've become soft. And this was a little speed bump for me because they kind of solidified that accusation that they're soft. Because when one of the FTR boys is going in on Santana and saying, you got a daughter and you're going to have to tell your daughter that daddy's not coming home, Santana gets rightfully so enraged and he's ready to attack. And Ortiz, like a calm psychiatrist, is like, come on, bro. It's not worth it, man. We'll take care of it next week. Just calm down. Just chill. Everything's okay. That's not Proud and Powerful, God damn it.
He's high. They slang a little weed on the side.
Right.
Other than that, I didn't think that was that bad. And then you get MJF. And we're going right to, we got anything else in this promo?
Right.
We're going to go to MJF.
Nope. Let's go right to MJF and Jericho.
MJF and Jericho were money, both of them, obviously. Jericho can be. I shouldn't say Jericho hasn't been obvious. He's obvious to me, but he might not be obvious to everybody. But I know Jericho has it in him when he can just turn off what he's trying to do and just be Chris Jericho. And whatever it was, Wednesday night, he was Chris Jericho. He came out and just talked and made it make sense. To his demise, his promo was very babyface. So
Extremely babyface.
But I don't know if they're going for that. It's not a bad thing. They could turn the inner circle babyface. The whole inner circle could go babyface. And I'd buy it. They could be anti-hero babyface.
Right. And right now it's kind of a mixed bag of nuts here because Jericho is clear babyface. I feel he's been pretty clear on that for a couple weeks here. But Sammy Guevara, Jake Hager, and Proud and Powerful still seem like heels in my eye. But
if they just keep them focused on the inner circle and Jericho can be the head of the snake and he wants to be heel or babyface, the crowd or the crew can follow him as long as they just stay pro inner circle. They can say however they want on the inside, and I think it'll work.
It'll be interesting to see how it works out. Now, MJF cut a hell of a promo, and he had his emotion was all into it. He was spot on. He was believable. He wasn't on the verge of breaking character once. That was MJF going after Jericho's crown, saying the crown weighs heavy on his head and he's going to relieve him of that weight and that pressure. MJF's promo, money. Jericho's promo, money. And I loved the way they did this because they left us hanging last week. So they left us wanting more with Jericho's promo where he said Chris Jericho was a curtain jerker at 25. He was at WCW jerking the curtain and just riding the undercard and basically a nobody, if you will, at WCW when he was 25 and MJF is at the top of his game. They left it alone. And then Jericho just ate him alive this week. Yeah, motherfucker, I was main eventing in Germany. I was main eventing in Mexico. I was main eventing in Japan.
And where
he
were
was
you?
tearing up the world. And where was MJF?
Yeah.
Sucking on mommy's teat on his inheritance money.
And what have you done at 25? And blah, 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 blah. And, you know, that's made me who I am. And you're damn right I was there. And I'm proud of it. And blah, blah, blah. And he sold it good. I liked it. And then I liked how Tully started to get involved and get in between them. And he's like, no, you're not cutting off my promo. And he pushes Tully back. I don't know if it was written in there or if it was just a spur-of-the-moment thing. But it added to it. There was feeling and emotion involved in it. And I bought into it 100%. I loved it.
Right. These are textbook examples of how promos should be done. I say textbook because you literally have a heel and a baby face to face cutting promos at each other. And this MJF has nowhere to go but up. He's doing amazing. Jericho has kind of been riding this weird wave since he came into AEW. And since he's been in AEW, this is his best promo by far.
One of the most memorable for sure. And then, so the only part then about after this, it pretty much wraps up that they're going to take each other on at Blood and Guts, right?
Right.
The part that threw me is are we really not going to get we didn't get any real decision. Nothing was announced on who's getting the advantage. Was Sammy's comment official? That you can have the lead, I'll start it, and I'll get beat up by all you guys and go in on the odd man. Like he's gonna start it for them, and then they get the lead.
To me, it kind of felt like Tony Schiavone confirmed it.
Okay,
and it was on the news sites that Pinnacle has the advantage. So if for some reason they flip the script and end up doing a coin toss and Inner Circle gets the advantage, that's going to throw everything for a loop. So I think at this point you kind of just got to take Sammy's word as scripture.
That was the only part I didn't care for, is that it wasn't like a big, like, they didn't give me a graphic at the end that said, feed. They want to spoon feed me some things and they don't want to tell me anything on other things, and it drives me batty.
Right. I feel you on that one. And a lot of aspects were treated like kindergartners. And then this one, things are just kind of left to your own interpretation. But we go from absolute fantastic promos in the ring to this next shit show here where Eddie Kingston wants Kenny Omega.
See, I didn't think this was quite a shit show, but it was all right.
Just what it ended up being was kind of wonky for me here. So
I can agree with that.
So Kenny Omega, he's doing his thing. He's playing it up. He's being a heel. You're not going to get to me, Eddie Kingston. You got to take on Michael Nakazawa, and Nakazawa beans Kingston there with the computer, and that's a whole thing there. Well, Eddie Kingston is threatening to break Nakazawa's leg unless he gets a shot at Kenny Omega, and Kenny Omega tells him, go ahead.
I got other
And
schmucks.
I just thought that was real heel shit. I was buying into that.
Well, I like how he said, "Go ahead, I got other schmucks," or whatever he said, and he
Right.
calls out Brandon Cutler. Cutler, get out here.
Right. And that part kind of left me confused because because I'm not a psychic, I didn't know that John Moxley had beat up Brandon Cutler in the back. Or was that why Cutler was rolling on the ground
Right,
and acting all scared?
That's why he was rolling on the ground, because Moxley was beating him up and throwing him out to the ring. Like, okay, here comes your guy, and that's why he was 2 seconds behind him. So it's supposed to be just a lead in. That was just supposed to be part of the imagination that just goes, oh, that's what was happening here, why he's running out like a psychopath.
So I wasn't sure because Kenny Omega didn't really seem to react to. I think this was bad acting because Kenny Omega knew in his head that John Moxley beat him up and threw him out there. He just kind of went like, "Oh, this is the way the script goes."
Yeah, the one time he was supposed to overact.
Right. When your meathead sidekick there gets thrown out onto the stage in front of you and he's rolling on the ground holding his head and acting scared, you might want to react there, Chief.
Yeah, so let's fantasy book this, right? Where he comes over and he's looking at Brandon Cutler on the ground, and he turns around and then, like, what? Why are you on the ground? What's happening? What's happening? And he turns around to like face the tunnel, and boom, who's looking at him, waiting for him, nose to nose now? John Moxley, right? And then he falls down. He does the land on his butt, chicken shit heel, like hands up, no, and scoots away. Would have made sense. I like it. I made it up again.
Would have made sense, but again, this is AEW. So so yeah, we got threats to Nakazawa's leg. We've got John Moxley and Eddie Kingston jumping Kenny Omega. And now we're threatening Omega's ankle. And this is the outcome that I was kind of confused about. Who gives a shit about Michael Nakazawa? Why do John Moxley and Eddie Kingston? I understand why they want Omega, but why do they want Nakazawa? Just because they can't do anything with the Young Bucks because the Young Bucks are a tag team. They can't do anything with the Good Brothers because the Good Brothers are a tag team. So it's just because he's there.
He's there. It makes it a handicap match because he doesn't count. So then it's just all...
Yeah. It just seems an illogical...
Because they can't
I guess I get that.
They can't give either one of them a singles match because then you might as well just have it be a title match.
Right.
For the World Championship. So it's kind of lazy booking, if you will, as you like to state it as. It's and I guess if you want to get into the storyline, you can buy that they want to get in there and they can tear. They're not scared of Nakazawa, so they can tear him apart, and it leaves Kenny. It can lead the chance for a good story as well, with Kenny never getting in the ring and letting Nakazawa just get the shit kicked out of him. He keeps missing tags, lifts his hands up, he jumps off the apron, he walks away, he comes back. Could be some chicken stuff in there. Best I can sell it to you. Best way I can sell it to you.
I guess I can buy it from there. From Kenny Omega's standpoint, it's going to work out great. He can heal it up, and even if they may end up losing the match, but Nakazawa is going to take the pin. But it's just from the Moxley and Kingston standpoint.
Why they wanted it.
Get it. Yeah. Besides it turning it into basically a handicap match.
What do you want? What do you want? And he's like, we want Moxley. You tell. And I'll be honest with you, I don't think they had it planned. It looked so off. It looked like Eddie Kingston's like, all right, we'll tell you what we want. Mox, tell him what we want.
Mox is like, oh,
the fuck? You want me to say what? We want Omega and Nakazawa. And we do. That's what we want.
Why? Right.
They should have at least picked what's his name?
Cutlet.
Don Callis.
Oh, I was thinking Brandon Cutler, but
I thought because at least Don Callis was a wrestler. He's a real shithead. Everybody wants to beat him up. I think it'd be all right. But anyways, and that way Kenny could have let him get beat up too, like totally turned his back on his manager, but not turned his back because Don Callis isn't going to go anywhere. But totally, let's get Don Callis get beat up because hey, I'm the champ.
There you go. That I think that would have played up better than Nakazawa, but I digress. So that will happen next week, along with the Blood and Guts. There, we're going to get Nakazawa and Kenny Omega versus Eddie Kingston and John Moxley, and then we're back to the back. We've got Taz being interviewed by Tony Schiavone here. Team Taz is number 1, and they want more of Christian. And Christian joins the party right here. And it's a pretty good promo out of Christian. It wasn't terrible. It wasn't the best idea, but it's a little too positive. Just white meat babyface to the core. You know, I don't believe in wins and losses. I believe in wins and lessons. And I'm going to teach your guys lessons, and they're going to be better men for it. It's just, ugh.
Ugh. Yeah, Christian can have we've seen him have attitude is the hard part, so you want him to be Christian with a little attitude, a little turned up
Right.
a bit, but, you know, again, we give these guys a lot of credit in the WWE, and without the machine behind them, are they the things that we thought they were?
Christian, let's take a step back and just look at his character now. Now he's a guy who uses his right and left turn indicator, and he brings the office coffee when he comes in, and he's a hard worker, and he punches in and out on time. And he wants to take the guys under his wing and teach them lessons on how to wrestle, even if he has to beat them. That's his character now. It's the most boring.
Milk toast.
This is Christian
vanilla.
Cage. Him and Edge were two of the most entertaining guys to ever be on WWE TV, and we get this nursing home grandpa of a gimmick here.
Yeah. I'm with you. I think he has it in him. It's just he's just trying to figure it out, but there's little to no direction is my guess backstage.
Right. Tony Khan takes a step back when he shouldn't, almost, you know. There's times where Tony Khan's a control freak and he's going to book every minute of his show. And then there's times where he steps back, and just because Christian is a legend,
You got it.
do what you want, even if it's stupid.
Hey, what should we want when we go out there to fight when we're trying to break Kenny Omega's leg? John, you know what you want to do. You just go out. Surprise me. We'll figure out what we're going to do next week right here tonight. It'll be fun. We're going to fight Nakazawa and Omega. Interesting enough. Sure, we'll roll with it.
Sure, you know what you want. But our next match on the card here was Penelope Ford versus Chris Statlander. And, you know, I like Chris Statlander.
She's not bad.
Pretty goofy gimmick.
Penelope Ford's all right, too. I mean, he's a women's wrestler for AEW.
Penelope Ford's really improved since her debut in AEW here, and since we saw her in the indie days. But nothing stuck out about this match. It was a run-of-the-mill indie girls match.
Wednesday night,
they're both kind of talented, but this was just a card filler.
Sure. And then you go backstage after this, don't we? Or when do we go backstage to get with Rusev there, with Miro?
Not quite yet.
Oh, okay, I'm jumping ahead.
Chris Statlander ends up winning this with a Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
No surprise on that. We get a little vignette for 10.
Yeah.
What's 10's name again?
Preston Vance.
Yeah, Preston Vance. This was a pretty cool little video package they put together, that he wants to pay tribute to Brody Lee, and he wants to bring the TNT belt back to the Dork Order. And between little pendants with Brody on it and Brody Jr. hanging out with Preston Vance here, it's kind of a heartfelt little moment, even though anyone with a half a brain in their head knows that Darby's not dropping that belt to Preston Vance. But
well, we thought we saw things coming too, so it could have been a Wednesday night. Preston Vance goes ahead and takes it home for whatever reason for a week and a half. Who knows? But AEW is wild like that. But yes, I didn't see it happening tonight, or I'm sorry, Wednesday night. But yes, it was a cool little promo. I do agree.
Right. And we move on to our next match here, which I wasn't too pumped to see. This is our 6-man tag match because this is AEW. We got to have 35 guys in the ring at once. We've got QT Marshall, Nick Camarado, and Aaron Solo being accompanied by Anthony Ogogo, taking on Dustin Rhodes, Lee Johnson, and Billy Gunn. For some reason, Billy Gunn has his ribs and midsection completely wrapped up from the Anthony Ogogo belly punch last week.
Oh, yeah.
And this is just more lazy writing from AEW here. The commentators point out that Billy Gunn's wrapped up. They point out that it's from the Anthony Ogogo punch, but they also point out he won't disclose what exactly is injured. So basically, they got the writing to the point where your tummy hurts because Gogo punched you, but we don't have any logical reason why your tummy hurts. So just, you're keeping it a secret.
Your tummy? I thought you said it was your knee.
Oh, yeah, but that bully wants to fight me. So our big surprise of this one is the Nightmare Factory team, the QT, Camarado, and Aaron Solo, come off of Cody's tour bus. Dun, dun, dun. What could that mean? Did they steal it?
But again, they have 2 hours of TV, and they didn't give us a vignette, a backstage grab a cameraman, caught these guys stealing the bus, security footage, somebody's cell phone caught them, nothing about them stealing a bus. Cody's not going, he didn't come outside of the Nightmare Factory, his hotel, going, where's my bus? I don't know why he needs a bus. The show hasn't moved in 7 months.
Maybe just Cody needs a bus because he's doing his other TNT shows or whatever.
But they didn't do anything to tease like that they had the bus.
Mm-mm. They just came off of it with no explanation. And this is another one where everybody just starts brawling from the very beginning. And it's just like lazy booking.
Yeah, this match, I'm going to be honest with you, I forgot it even happened. So I was like, I thought we were going into the main event for a second. This was just garbage. I didn't care for it at all. There's too many guys, too much stuff happening. The camera's not on everything, so I have no idea who did what. Really, the big point of this is the end, right?
Right, and that's basically where my notes jump. Just tons of chaos. I can't really grasp what's going on because it's just everything going on. Lee Johnson kind of shined in this match. We haven't seen Lee Johnson perform in a while, and he was just going ham, and he's doing his thing. Lee Johnson, I'm actually kind of excited to see what direction they're going to take him as he gets better and better. Anthony Ogogo has to get involved again, and he's delivering more tummy punches. Billy Gunn gets another one, and Lee Johnson gets one for his trouble, and QT Marshall gets the pin on Lee Johnson from the Go-Go punch. And apparently that's
Go-Go
that's
gadget
be
punches.
Apparently this punch, it just puts anyone down. This is 2 weeks in a row where a guy punching you in the stomach has caused the end of the match. Shit, it might have been 3 weeks in a row. I just can't remember that far back with AEW because there's so much shit going on. But how far are we going to drag this thing on? That Go-Go sneaks up, punches you in the stomach, and you lose the match.
It's a wrap. That guy punches you in the gut. It's over.
And speaking of it's over, I wish this match was over at this point. But instead we get Nick Camarado hitting Dustin Rhodes with the cowbell. For what reason? What's the cowbell have anything to do with? Do you know?
Dusty was, carried his cowbell in the bull rope cowbell matches and all that jazz, and it's his dad, and I think it was some like, screw you, I'm taking your family lineage and hitting you in the head with it.
Okay.
whatever that's worth.
All right. Yeah, now that you mentioned Dusty, yeah, I kind of get that. The gun club, Billy's kids come out and attack QT. QT takes off, retreats to the bus, and guess who's waiting for him on that bus? Guess who finally looked out his hotel window and discovered his bus was missing?
Couldn't be Cody, could it?
It's Cody. Cody comes out and starts beating up QT. They end up on top of the goddamn bus, which is, whatever. But why the hell is Aubrey Edwards up there on the bus with these two idiots?
Well, at least I can give you that.
Is it a match?
It's at AEW. It could be at any moment. If Cody wins, it was a match. But so she's up there. At least maybe she's trying to break it up. She's an official. Get off of the bus. You're gonna die. Don't hurt each other. Stop fighting. This isn't a thing. Blah blah blah. All right, whatever. I'll give you that. What I can't give you is Tony Schiavone, and I like Tony Schiavone. I really do. He just reminds me of my childhood, I think, is all it is. It's a big nostalgia thing for me, but nonetheless, Cody gives QT Marshall a figure four, puts him in a figure four. Cool. But Tony Schiavone sells it. He's giving him a figure four on top of the bus. Can you believe it? It doesn't make it hurt more on a bus. He is only 15 feet in the air. It doesn't make it hurt more. It doesn't make it hurt less either. It doesn't make it last longer. It's just elevated.
In fact, Cody held the move for less time than he normally would in a ring.
Probably because his head was facing the short end of the bus, and he was probably afraid he was going to slip backwards.
Great observance on that. Schiavone sold the shit out of it like the bus had anything to do with the pain being inflicted from the figure four.
He's given it made for cool TV, a good visual, right? You can see
visual.
There's people around the bus, the refs up there trying to break it up. He's got the thing. Wonderful, but don't sell it to me like the bus has a goddamn thing to do with how bad that figure four hurts. You could have pushed him off of it at the end or something. Then you could be like, he threw him off of a bus. I'll give you that. He threw QT Marshall off of a bus. The one time they could work a catch-me spot in at AEW, and they let the whole thing go.
This shit, Bryant. So I understand that wasn't the greatest match, so nobody's going to remember it. Shit, probably by next week.
And we're talking
by the end of the weekend.
And we're talking QT Marshall and the likes that were in the match are probably going to forget it.
Right.
And the bookers are going to be like, well, what did we do last week? Fuck it. We won't go back and watch. We taped over that.
But you get these indie guys in there that are trying to do a 7-star match every Wednesday and trying to make people remember them. And then you've got the exact opposite here where these guys put on a lackluster match and it was sandwiched by just chaos and bullshit. You start off with a brawl, all 6 people just wailing on each other and going crazy in pure chaos. And then you have your mediocre match and then wrap that up with just more chaos and bullshit and a figure four on top of the bus.
On top of the bus!
How are you supposed to remember anything about the match when it's just sandwiched with white noise, just chaos?
You can't. You can't.
And this is where we head to the locker room there. We got a cameraman following Kip Sabian, and he's going into the locker room, and he wants to let us know beforehand that everything's cool with Miro. There's nothing to fear about going in there and talking with Miro.
Did I miss
foreshadowing
something?
As we enter the locker room?
Did I miss something? Because I didn't know we weren't that he was supposed to be scared of Miro.
Me either. Besides a week or two ago, Miro, Sabian wanted to go in one direction and Miro wanted to kick people's asses or something. That's the only thing I remember. So as far as this point with Sabian walking to the locker room, I don't know why they're drilling in the assumption that there's tension between these two. I was unaware of any tension between these two.
100% unaware of any tension between the two. And, Kip Sabian got a big fuck you for his troubles. Got beat up And then kind of got like the weird serial killer, like, I'm sorry, everything is good now, after he beat him up and broke his arm in the door and slammed it and everything else. Then he's like, we're all good now. And then JR states it with, didn't look like Kip Sabian enjoyed his trip to the woodshed. So kind of telling me, like, he got beat up, Dad took you out back, beat you up, and now we're okay. Everything's fine. We're two men. We beat each other up, and we've moved on. I don't know what we had any tension or what we were mad about to have a trip to the woodshed, but that's the way I'm filling in the blanks.
Yeah, those are our two context clues in this thing. Between the being tossed around in the lockers and your head slammed around and having your arm slammed in a door is taken to the woodshed. So we can speculate from there that Dad took his son out to the woodshed. And also Miro kept screaming, it's time to pay your dues. It's time to pay your dues. And apparently paying your dues is getting your forearm slammed in a metal door.
There you go. That's that. We'll see what doesn't happen with that in a couple weeks. Because as an AEW, we won't refer to it even next week. It'll be like, remember 3 weeks ago when Kip Sabian got beat up by Rusev and we haven't seen him, or Miro? No, I forgot about that. Because you haven't seen either one of the two in a month.
We're probably not going to see Miro for another 3 or 4 weeks here unless we get on twitch.com and watch him play Super Mario. Next, we're finally in this episode, Brian.
Was a dragger.
Even watching it a day late with my finger on the fast forward button anytime a commercial or a picture-in-picture came in, this episode dragged on. I'm with you. By the time the QT Marshall match got on, I thought we were supposed to be at the main event. And I'm like, what the hell's going on here? But we finally made it to the main event. Number 10, a.k.a. Preston Vance, with the Dork Order behind him, is taking on Darby Allin with his buddy Sting in his corner.
Stanger. And again, we've got the TNT Championship being put as the main event for the Wednesday Night Free Show. I do like that. I do like the lineup again. We spoke about it several times, that you have two guys that should be fighting are fighting. It's okay. Preston Vance taking on Darby Allin for the TNT Championship is just fine with me. It's fine. It goes together and makes sense.
It's fine, but we're going to rewind this way back to the beginning of Brody Lee here. It was only like a one-time thing where they hyped up Preston Vance, and they made it seem like he was this talented indie star that they were bringing in, and he was going to do some real damage. We all know he just kind of got lost in the mix there and ended up just kind of fading into the background of the Dork Order. But this match right here kind of accentuated how talentless Preston Vance is. This match was pretty much Darby Allin wrestling a mannequin. It seemed like anything Preston Vance did, which was display power moves, was basically the extent of Preston Vance's talent in this match. Darby Allin walked into every single power move. Preston Vance was basically standing in one spot for the majority of this match, and Darby Allin is just walking into power moves. And it was painfully obvious that Darby Allin had to lead every single step of this match, and it just came off looking like shit.
I don't know if it necessarily came off looking like shit. It came off looking like Preston looked strong, number 10, and Darby sold very well for him. So the two, he complimented it. I wouldn't say it looked like shit. It just looked like Darby put on the show, watching it. So, my daughter, she's 7, she came and sat next to me, and I said, who do you think's going to win? And she goes, I think the guy in the mask is going to win, Preston Vance. And to me, that tells me that Darby's selling the right way and making Preston Vance look strong, which is fine, but how do you get your way out of that, right? So you painted yourself into a corner now. And I think they did a good job with the ending on working the way out of it and leaving Preston Vance looking strong and leaving Darby Allin still the champion. Spoiler alert, we'll probably break it down a little bit more, but the way that they got to the end and the finish worked out. It was a little confusing because those type of pins and roll-ups are always wackadoodle. But so I don't think it looked like shit. I just thought it just looked like they were just trying to get Preston Vance elevated a little bit. But they didn't let him elevate himself. They had Darby elevate him, if that makes sense.
Right. Darby was leading the dance, but it seemed like Preston didn't even know the steps.
I'll give you that.
I don't know. It just seemed very obvious that all the work in this match was being done by Darby Allin.
But I saw that on the paper before the match started. So I wasn't super surprised by it, but
yeah, Darby did what he was supposed to do. He sold his ass off, and Preston Vance, because he got to display his power moves, came off as looking pretty tough, really strong. Again, he's throwing around a 150-pound guy, but
in a situation like this, though, when you're going to be put there under the microscope, your flaws, even if it doesn't matter how good your dancing partner is, your flaws are still going to come through, though. So Preston's got to tighten up those fundamentals like we've spoke about before on a couple other guys.
Right, precisely. And then in the painfully obvious category again, Darby Allin wants to get his shit in. He wants to get his jumping off the top rope to the outside of the ring spot in that he puts in every single match. So we have Alan Angels come from nowhere and make sure he gets right on his mark next to Preston Vance here so that they can look up and catch Darby Allin jumping off the top rope. And that was just another painfully obvious. We didn't see shit from Alan Angels before this spot in this match. And all of a sudden he's going to waddle his ass over so he can help Preston catch Darby Allin.
And my daughter goes, he jumped on the wrong guys. She's, this is as pure as a response as you can get because she goes, who's that guy? Why'd he jump on him? Exactly what we said. This guy hasn't been around, and all of a sudden he's there.
Right. And then just more shit that doesn't make sense. You've got the whole Dork Order there, and 63-year-old Sting faces them all down and gets them all backing up and backtracking and shitting their panties because an old man in face paint is walking them down. And
hey, all Sting wants is to keep it fair. Tony Schiavone even says so. Sting just wants to keep it fair. He doesn't care who wins.
Well, they were all scared shitless of old Stinger here. And that does what it's supposed to do because it distracts everybody, including Darby Allin here, so that Ethan Page can get involved, looking like he just stepped off a yacht at his fraternity party there in his pink polo and above-the-knee shorts.
I forgot about him. These guys really need to utilize their TV and keep guys on that TV if they want to keep them important. There's so much in the world that happens with this, with every social media platform. There's so much content for wrestling right now across AEW, WWE, MLW getting a TV show, the Ring of Honor, whoever else you got going on. And boom, it's like they get these guys that disappear, and you go, I didn't realize he was gone. He hasn't made an impact enough for me to realize he was gone to come back to.
So Ethan Page gets involved, and until they said his name, I'm like, who the hell is this goof? But he attacks Darby Allin. My takeaway of this match with Preston Vance is that he's just kind of dull, and I don't really see him shining as a beacon of light in this cesspool of talent we got here in AEW here. But Preston Vance ends up getting a full Nelson on Darby Allin. Darby Allin kicks the turnbuckle into some weird roll-up thing where it's, again, apparent that Preston Vance has to work to keep his shoulders down so that the referee can get the 1, 2, 3, and Darby Allin retains his title.
Yeah, those pins, that kickoff rollover thing is confusing. Again, my daughter was sitting there with me when I was rewatching this, and she goes, who won? And she didn't understand, And you just take that for what it's worth, it being 7, but what that means is like what the casual watchers see. And what did anybody else, what did somebody that's not paying attention see? I caught what was happening. There is about a 2-second spot where he has that full Nelson in. Darby Allin's fighting, and all of a sudden Darby Allin goes limp, right? Boom,
Right.
I don't know if you saw it. And I went, you got to be kidding me. They had me for about
So they teased you for a second.
About a heartbeat. And then it was like, and then he started kicking back up, and then right after that is when he kicks a turnbuckle. He works his way up to the turnbuckle. But I went, oh my God, they're going to throw this strap on. They did the whole promo vignette thing. They're going to throw this strap on him and take it back to the Dark Order for one last go around. And no, that didn't happen. But nonetheless, they had me for about a heartbeat. But that was the end of it. Darby Allin retains. No big surprise. And then again, we get our interferences that run in here at the end.
Enter the afterbirth. So something told me, usually 90% of the time, when I'm watching a wrestling show and it's your main event of the night and you get your 1, 2, 3 pin, 90% of the time it's safe to just hit stop on the DVR and move on with your life. But something told me, oh no, this is Wednesday Night Dynamite. You might as well just let it play. And sure as shit, Ethan Page distracts everything going on here. So Scorpio Sky can hop in the ring, chop block Sting, and then we got Ethan Page going at it with Darby Allin, Scorpio Sky going at it with Sting, and putting Sting in a heel hook. And I don't know what we're supposed to do at this point. I don't know if Sting's supposed to be injured after that. I don't know what the point of it really was, but we get our baby heel, our heel face, Lance Archer, hopping in and breaking things up and making the save.
Of course, Lance Archer saved Sting and Darby Allin the last 3 or 4 weeks in a row now. To no storytelling, though. So they don't even give you a shitty story to tell you. At least Jon Moxley and Eddie Kingston decided in the spur of the moment they wanted to face Omega Nakazawa, right? They don't even give Lance Archer that. They just go, you, go out there, run into the ring. You're big. Why do I care about Sting, and why am I saving him again? Oh, hell, I don't know. We'll figure it out later. Just keep doing it. Don't say anything, and nobody needs to know the backstory.
I don't get it. Lance Archer is built block by block to be a heel. And for some reason, he's just got a love for these two baby faces here. And I just don't get it.
Well, he's built block by block to be a main event guy, and they don't let him do that either.
Right. I guess we just have to kind of realize we're dealing with AEW here. And if you're expecting things to make sense, you're going to be very disappointed.
You just got to go, wait for it. Nonsense, Lance Archer, and we're off TV. Great show, everybody.
Standing ovation. And this AEW is why you're losing 100,000 to 200,000 people a week for the past 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Any casual viewer is going to be like, what the hell is this? Why is this happening? When you have to rack your brain to make sense of a TV show, and
you're not
it's not a murder mystery thriller crime drama, fuck. Like Law and Order's easier to figure out than this shit.
Yeah. What am I watching? Why do I care? Well,
right. So I don't know. Casual viewers are just going to keep falling off bit by bit. They're not going to continue to lose 100,000 a week, though. Like I said, they'll probably settle right around 800,000. But with no competition, TNT shouldn't be too happy about that. You guys shouldn't be cheering and carrying Tony Khan on your shoulders when he can run the only wrestling show on Wednesday night and still only pull 800,000 viewers.
Very true. Truer words have never been spoken. And in those truer words, we're going to sign off here because I think that was the end of all we've got to chat about. That was a good, nice, long, deep dive into the professional wrestling of the week. Once again, guys, make sure you check us out on all the social media platforms, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube. Subscribe, like, share, leave a review on Spotify or iTunes or wherever you're listening to podcasts. Leave a comment in the YouTube. Join us in the chat when we record it live, usually on Thursdays, but Eric got his little COVID shot and I was out of town on Thursday, so we're doing this on Friday. Make sure you guys join us on the YouTube, like, subscribe, share, and hop in the chat. And Eric, do you have any final words for us?
My final words for us this week is hooty hoo, we out the gates.